From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I am Ahmed Ramadan. After backlash and a bombshell report, President Trump asks Attorney General Pam Bondi to release Epstein files, despite the DOJ claims no client list exists. This and more on today's show. Stay tuned. In a rare show of bipartisan support, 102 House Democrats joined Republicans to pass the Genius Act, the first major U.S. crypto regulation. Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries also voted for the bill, which is now headed to President Donald Trump's desk. The bill creates rules for stable coins, digital tokens tied to assets like the U.S. dollar. Experts say it benefits Trump's crypto-linked business, World Liberty Financial, and endangers financial stability and consumer protections. Financial Services Committee Democrat Maxine Waters slammed the bill, calling it a crypto scam aiding Trump's personal gain. Despite warnings from advocacy groups, House members also advanced two more crypto bills. Analysts say the votes reflect growing crypto industry influence in Washington, with millions spent to sway lawmakers and threaten dissenters with political retaliation. A federal appeals court has ruled that Arkansas can enforce its ban on teaching critical race theory, or CRT, in public classrooms. The 8th Circuit Court lifted a previous injunction allowing the law to take effect while legal challenges continue. CRT holds that racism is embedded in legal systems and policies, not just individual behavior. It is typically not part of K to 12 education. I should say kindergarten to 12, right? Yeah. It is typically not part of kindergarten to grade 12 education, but Arkansas included it in its LEARNS Act, which critics say defined CRT vaguely. Attorney General Tim Griffin called the ruling a win for the LEARNS Act and for the rule of law. Judges said students do not have a First Amendment right to demand specific curriculum content. They wrote that citizens cannot force the government to express certain viewpoints, including in public schools. Analysts say the decision aligns with a wider Republican efforts to restrict how race is taught in schools nationwide. The Trump administration is sharing personal data of all 79 million Medicaid recipients with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. According to media reports, a secret deal between the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and ICE gives agents access to names, addresses, birth dates, social security numbers, and racial and ethnic data. The move is meant to help ICE locate undocumented immigrants, but critics warn it affects mostly U.S. citizens and legal residents, since undocumented immigrants are not eligible for federally funded Medicaid except in emergencies. President Donald Trump earlier demanded data from 7 states that allow non-citizens limited Medicaid access. Now, this agreement extends to the entire Medicaid population. Health advocates and Democrats slammed the move. Representative Pramila Jayapal called it a weaponization of data. Senator Adam Schiff warned it would violate privacy and deter people from seeking care. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib says Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war in Gaza. Speaking on the House floor, she accused the Israeli government of deliberately blocking food, fuel, and medicine, causing widespread famine. Tlaib said more than 500,000 Palestinians are facing catastrophic hunger, and at least 66 children have already died from starvation. She slammed her colleagues for staying silent and described horrifying scenes of Palestinians eating grass and animal feed while aid trucks sit at the border. Tlaib also accused Israeli forces of shooting starving civilians waiting for food, saying that 875 people were killed at aid sites in just 6 weeks. Tlaib called the U.S. and Israeli-backed aid centers death traps, echoing UN warnings. She urged lawmakers to stop supporting what she called genocide in Gaza. President Donald Trump has threatened to sue the Wall Street Journal over a report claiming he once sent a birthday message to convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The Journal published what it says is a 2003 note from Trump typed inside the outline of a naked woman, ending with "May every day be another wonderful secret." Trump denied ever writing the letter, calling it a fake on Truth Social. He accused the paper of relying on false sources and announced plans to sue the Wall Street Journal, News Corp, and Rupert Murdoch. The letter reportedly bore Trump's signature. The Journal has not yet responded. In related news, President Donald Trump has asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to release grand jury testimony related to child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein pending court approval. The move follows a bombshell Wall Street Journal report revealing a bizarre 2003 birthday letter from Trump to Epstein. The DOJ recently ruled Epstein's 2019 death a suicide and claimed that no client list implicating a number of politicians and celebrities in his crimes exists. But Bondi earlier claimed to have the list on her desk, contradicting the DOJ. Trump's MAGA base has voiced outrage over the president's connection to the Epstein case, demanding transparency. Trump says he has asked the Attorney General to release the Epstein verdict after the bombshell report. The UN honored Nelson Mandela with a call to fight injustice as Nelly Pandor urged unity and action beyond words. Details coming up next.
Muna Convention 2025 is coming, and you don't want to miss the event of the year. With over 25,000 attendees, it's one of the largest annual gatherings of American Muslims. This isn't just a convention, it's a celebration of faith, learning, community, and inspiration. Join world-renowned speakers. This is your moment to reconnect, reflect, and be inspired. From youth programs and college sessions to daycare, Quran competitions, and talent shows, there's something for every member of the family. Shop the Bazaar and Expo with over 200 vendors, featuring faith-based products, books, gifts, and cultural treasures. Visit municonvention.com to register now. Spaces are filling fast. We can't wait to welcome you.
Welcome back. Israel has killed at least 56 Palestinians in strikes over the past 24 hours. Among them were 6 aid seekers and a 1-year-old girl who died from malnutrition near Deir al-Balah. Officials say 69 children have starved to death since Israel began its genocide in the region in October 2023. Most recent casualties occurred in Khan Yunis and Rafah, and many shelters have also been hit. In Al-Mawasi, an airstrike on tents killed 5 people, including 3 women and a child. Israel hit Hanawi school with a drone, killing a woman and her son. Meanwhile, the UN reports that Israel has displaced more than 737,000 people, about 35% of Gaza's population since March. UN spokesperson Stephanie Tremblay said most Palestinians have been displaced multiple times over the past 21 months. Humanitarian aid remains limited amid Israel's blockade of food, fuel, and medicine since March. Only a small shipment of fuel has entered Gaza for the first time in more than 4 months. Israel continues heavy shelling and home demolitions in southern Gaza. Israel's genocide in Gaza has killed more than 64,000 Palestinians, the majority of them women and children and the elderly. Israel faces war crimes charges at the International Criminal Court and a genocide case at the International Court of Justice. The United Nations marked Nelson Mandela International Day on Friday with a powerful reminder of the late South African leader's enduring legacy. Mandela was born on July 18, 1918. The gathering renewed global action against poverty, inequality, and injustice. At the UN headquarters in New York, visitors were welcomed by the life-size bronze statue of Nelson Mandela, which was first unveiled in 2018. South Africa's former minister, Nelly Pandor, said the statue symbolizes not just Mandela's global stature, but also the deep bond between democratic South Africa and the United Nations. It signals the role that the UN played in us achieving our freedom, she noted. This year's theme centered around an exhibition highlighting the critical role of the UN Special Committee Against Apartheid. The display showcased how the committee galvanized global momentum advocating for sanctions, boycotts, and resolutions until apartheid was dismantled. Pandor emphasized the urgency of global unity and decisive action. She said, "You achieve change through action. A committee alone is not enough. We must mobilize as we did then." More events are lined up for Friday. These include a General Assembly gathering and the conferring of Nelson Mandela Prize to Mrs. Brenda Reynolds of Soto First Nation and of Canada, and Mr. Kennedy Odede of Kenya. They were selected by the UN Selection Committee, which was advised by a group of eminent persons. The North Carolina Democratic Party has passed a resolution accusing Israel of apartheid and genocide in Gaza. The June 28 resolution condemns Israel's use of U.S. weapons against civilians and civilian sites. It calls for a full U.S. military embargo on Israel until rights groups confirm an end to its apartheid policies. The resolution cites Gallup polls showing that 59% of Democrats support Palestinians and 62% of young Democrats back an arms embargo. It also links former President Joe Biden's 2024 voter losses to Israel's genocide in Gaza. Analysts say the move marks a major shift in democratic grassroots sentiment. In Syria's Suwaida province, dozens of Bedouin families were forcibly displaced Thursday despite a declared ceasefire. Armed Druze groups reportedly stormed several Bedouin villages, forcing residents to flee. Footage from Anadolu news agency showed families leaving with belongings heading towards Daraa province. Local sources say many were expelled at gunpoint and some were killed or injured. Armed Bedouins were seen securing escape routes. Tensions began last month when clashes erupted between Druze fighters and Bedouin Arab tribes. The fighting escalated with Druze groups launching deadly attacks on Syrian forces. A ceasefire was brokered but quickly broke down. On July 16, Israeli airstrikes hit Syrian government sites, including the Presidential Palace and Ministry of Defense. Another ceasefire was declared the same day, but violence persisted. Estimates suggest nearly one-third of Suwaida's Bedouin population has fled since the conflict began. Residents say peace remains elusive despite repeated truces. Pakistan has deployed the army for rescue operations as deadly monsoon rains and flash floods battered eastern Punjab province. Officials say more than 60 people died and nearly 300 were injured in 24 hours. A state of emergency has been declared in the city of Rawalpindi near the capital Islamabad and in other districts. Army helicopters are evacuating stranded residents as floodwaters sweep through towns. Since June 26, monsoon-related deaths in Punjab have climbed to 103, with nationwide fatalities reaching 178. Most casualties were due to collapsing buildings and electrocution. Footage showed homes submerged and vehicles washed away. More than 15,000 rescuers and hundreds of boats are assisting in relief efforts. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has called for a 10-year strategy to tackle climate disasters fueled by climate change. France has shut down its last military base in Senegal, ending a 65-year presence in the West African nation. The official handover of Camp Zay in the capital Dakar took place Thursday, with French and Senegalese military chiefs attending. General Mbaye Cissé called it a turning point and said both sides would redefine their security partnership. The move comes amid growing anti-French sentiment and a push by President Bassirou Diomaye Faye to end foreign troop presence. Faye had linked base closures to historic injustices, including the 1944 massacre of African soldiers by French forces. Relations worsened after French businesses were targeted in 2021 protests. France has also withdrawn troops from Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, Ivory Coast, and Chad after recent coups. Its only remaining African base is in Djibouti. Analysts say France's once strong military influence in the region appears to be ending. A new report reveals alarming discrimination against Muslim women working in the UK media. The Centre for Media Monitoring surveyed 102 Muslim women journalists. Many described toxic newsrooms, bias, and emotional exhaustion, especially while covering Israel's genocide in Gaza. Some described newsroom narratives on the issue as lifted from the Israeli military's playbook. 72% said they faced direct discrimination, and more than 60% have considered quitting journalism altogether. Those wearing hijab or niqab, the face covering, faced the harshest treatment, often reduced to token hires for public relations. Many said they were hyper-visible for diversity optics but sidelined from decision-making. The report warns of a looming retention crisis if conditions do not improve. Despite challenges, most surveyed said they still see their Muslim identity as journalistic strength. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.